This Polestar 2 performance package is the pinnacle of performance from Polestar right now.
This review is going to demonstrate why the performance pack is an excellent value and you should spring for the extra $5,000 just for the looks alone.
Has the upgraded performance package, it has the Brembo calipers, it has the upgraded Continental tires, as well as the gold belts and upgraded suspension. This review is going to go in depth into the comparisons between the performance package and the non-performance, as you can see over there in the midnight. I've driven both of these and it is truly a different experience. So let's just start from the exterior. You know, this is a fantastic looking car. I think that compared to a lot of the competitors out there, Polestar has a design language. It is sharp, it has a lot of Volvo influence. You know, even from the beginning, you look at the headlights here, you've got Thor's hammer, full LED headlights. You can see a little bit of naming there. These are the pixel LED lights. But when you look at a Polestar, there is no mistaking this Scandinavian or Volvo design language, which has come about and has really been a feature for this brand, which is owned by Volvo and Geely. But overall, it's a very subtle brand. Let's look at the logo. All of the logos for these Polestars are color matched to the car, and you don't get any text, you don't get any wording. It's really meant to evoke curiosity and to make you ask, what is this car? Who makes it? It's a sharp looking car and you want to find out more. So again, more design elements, the hood, the style, very Volvo-esque, yet at the same time, it's still a Polestar. Coming over, more design language from Volvo. Let's take a look at these wheels. These are 20-inch performance wheels. They have the Brembo upgraded calipers. They have cross-drilled rotors. These are 245, 40, 20-inch tires and upgraded suspension as well. More design language is this high waistline. You can see kind of this boxy rear end. This car is more angular, and I think that nothing against the Tesla, but the Model 3 kind of has this droopy catfish look, and it's a little bit melty, but this car is very sharp. It doesn't shy away from sharp creases, and that is a very bold decision in terms of the styling. Coming around, let's talk a little bit about these mirrors. Now, a lot of people have talked about these frameless mirrors. There is no bezel. When you adjust the mirror, this entire housing will rotate. It tilts, and it really makes a nice driving experience. The mirror just has a very sharp line jutting out, and you get the full size of the mirror without a bezel or having any type of gap in between the mirror and the housing. So whether this is more complicated, whether it works, it remains to be seen, but it looks pretty good and it's a conscious decision. Integrated turn signals, you also have a camera down here. Here we have the charging port. Let's look at the charging cap cover. It's going to be a press to release, and you have a standard NEMA charging plug here. You've got a nice LED indicator to give you some light if you're in the dark. Other than that, standard Volvo parts on the cover. And let's talk about this rear. This is really a sharp looking rear end. They have the full brake light running across the width of the car. And again, a Polestar logo, but no other badge naming. We have the shout out to Grubbs, but no other badge naming is on the rear. And it's really meant to be a subtle. This car is debadged from the factory. And so for the people that like that, this is your car. It really, when I drive this around, lots of people stop and they want to know, what kind of car is that? For most people, that's going to be enough. These are 20-inch wheels. The ride feels very good. I think suspension has figured out how to use larger wheel diameters in a good setting. So this is one feature that is maybe not the most attractive. In all of these cars, they intentionally come from the dealer and they're delivered with this little sticker. Now it's just a decal, so your finger can catch that, easily removable if you want, but it is something that is a little bit opposite or anti everything that I was just describing about the logo and about the car not having any text.
So to access the trunk on the rear, you know, it has beautiful lines here, but other than just kind of this very subtle logo, I'm not sure if we can see it, color matched logo, there's no other names. This is a D-badged car. I have the key in my pocket, and so you have to open it with your foot there. Plenty of cargo room. You know, we have this cargo divider that's been much talked about, how useful it is. I think it's useful. I would use it. Underneath here, you know, you have more storage. If you're somebody like me, I probably have some bottles of water, I have a blanket, maybe some food, and I would just keep it under here permanently. Here they also have the charging cable. A lot of people have that in the frunk, and we'll go up there soon. You can see the pass-through, and let's see. We can take the seats down. There's a little bit of a recess here. It's pretty intuitive. It's the only place that I would grab. But you can see how easily the seats go down, and you can open up all of this for storage space. For the auto close, you have a power close rear hatch, again, straight from Volvo. If that's not a Tron looking car of the future, I don't know what is. Love that full width.
If we take a moment, we can take a look at this panoramic roof. It is really continuing another Volvo design trend with a very large glass roof, and that is something that's really nice inside. We'll take a look at that further when we're in the interior, but that's a feature that I like to see continued. The interior here is really high end. I think that the fit and finish of this is going to blow any Tesla out of the water. I have a lot of experience with the Model S, Model 3, and while they crib a lot of existing Volvo parts, that's not a bad thing. If you have a manufacturer that has experience building parts, why not use them? So I'm about 6 feet. I just adjusted the seat down. I have plenty of headroom between my head and this massive panoramic sunroof. We'll get more on that later. Again, the seating position is good. This particular model, you have telescoping and vertical adjustment. So you can get exactly the seating position that you need.
Let's take a look at this interior. Immediately when I get in, I notice Volvo. This entire steering wheel, the gloss piano black interior pieces, all directly cribbed from the current generation Volvo, which isn't a bad thing. You know, I really like the interior of my car. You've seen my other reviews for the S90, and it's really held up well. The only thing that they've changed here is change the steering wheel airbag logo from a Volvo to a Polestar, which is fine. I don't think that's a problem. Continuing inside, you see more of these soft touch. All of the controls are directly from a Volvo, all of these stock. And so it's going to be very natural for anybody coming from a current generation Volvo. Windshield wipers. And same for the door. If you look at the door here, these pull handles are these solid metal. Again, highly reviewed, really durable, and they've held up well. All of these switches, the window controls, the child lock, the door lock, and these are all standard from a Volvo, which is good. You know, I think that it's going to have better reliability, and it's perfectly okay in a first generation to pull from an existing model that works really well. This is the only way to close the door, and for me, sometimes this is a little bit awkward. On my car, I have a little bit more depth.
we have a larger door on the S90 or other Volvo models, and so you're able to close the door with a center pull here. Here you have to reach up, and this is really the only place. You could grab this, but it's pretty low. Again, driver memory functions, gloss piano black. It's held up pretty well despite a risk of showing scratches. So this is the only place to close the door, and it can pose a little bit of distance. I have pretty long arms, but this is a stretch for me. Once you're in, you're immediately greeted with a full touchscreen dashboard. You can see a little bit of that screen interface. Looking at this, it's that giant iPad style. You can see there's a gap between the screen and the dash, but overall this is a very responsive system. So we can split here, we can adjust that way. This is where you can go into car settings, one pedal drive. We'll talk about that on the drive, but standard, it really decelerates the car. I was preferring low. Steering feel, standard versus light. Creep, this basically is a feature where if you're at a stoplight and you let off the gas, do you want the car to roll forward or creep forward, similar to an idle for a combustion engine? That's a feature that a lot of people in EVs like, and so having that option is really useful. Again, look at these menus. They're super fast, very responsive. Have not had any problems with these, and I think Volvo has really learned from the first generation Sensus of letting people who are experts in user interface and this chip technology and the processing speed, letting them develop a product a lot faster, because this is a Google and this is a Google product. You don't have car designers trying to approve equipment 3 years before the production model actually reaches consumers. And so you have Google, who is able to do this a lot faster. So we pull up the Google Maps. Okay, well, we're okay with that. So we can turn on those features, offline maps. But again, look how fast this is. We're zooming right in here in Dallas, Texas. We're up here in Grapevine, and you can just see how responsive. So I would say that my generation Sensus has that same style of responsiveness, but only when you first run the car. When the car has been running all day, it's been processing multiple entries, that's when my Sensus starts to slow down. So I think that's something that remains to be seen on this. However, I'm very confident that Google Assistant.
That's me. How can I help?
Navigate to restaurant.
There are 9 options in the area, and you can tell me the number of the one you want anytime. Lind is 0.2 miles away.
So let's pick a real restaurant. How about Babe's Fried Chicken?
There are quite a few chicken restaurants to choose from, and you can tell me the number of the one you want anytime.
Number
Babe's
2.
Chicken in North Richland Hills is 12 miles away.
So again, this is Google Maps. It is incredibly fast. It gives you an estimation of your battery when you arrive to your destination. Again, this is going to be 80% or 90% of what Tesla does with the charge at destination. The calculations are pretty accurate, but we'll talk a little bit more. I have a full review with a current Polestar 2 owner who's had the car for over 6 months, and we'll talk a little bit more about the technology and the calculation process. But as a baseline feature, the Polestar has it, and it works well. Here we can see some of this. This is a brand new car, so it hasn't had a lot of data to import. So yeah, here's the manual. When we look in here, The seats, much better bolster than the base. So this is the vegan leather option. It has the blonde wood here. Everything about this car is just really compact and focused. Everything is within arm's reach of the driver. Really meant to be a driver's car without distracting you. I like these. So everything, steering wheel, this is directly pulled from the Volvo. They just swapped out this logo here for Polestar. These door pulls directly from the Volvo. Again, nothing wrong. I commented on my review. I really like these. These are solid. They have a good positive feeling. All of these switches, the window controls, the child lock, the mirror adjustment, those are all directly from Volvo. And they are the gloss piano black. So now that we're inside the car, let's take another look at this panoramic sunroof. This is really a nice feature. It's full glass. It really lets in a lot of light. This particular model, it's tinted. And inside here in the dark, you get a nice view of the Polestar. And this is kind of an illuminated feature. It's really kind of a nice touch. I like this on the car. It makes the car feel special. It's a little bit of an insider. You know, only people who know about it will know that it's there, but Polestar, that's what the brand stands for. It's your guiding light, and it's always up here guiding you to true north. I like it, you know, it's those little things that build a little bit of character into the car, and I think Volvo has done that with Thor's hammer and everything that they do to tie the brand in. So let's take a look at this all digital dash. This is a new Polestar product. So in reverse, we have this great rear camera. This is an all new camera and an upgrade from the Volvo product. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in park. And the car will stay on, so the AC is running. Again, this is very comparable to any of the electric cars like a Tesla, and it doesn't turn off until you actually open the door. So let's talk a little bit about this drive selector. It is this weird kind of hexagon shape. I don't mind it. I think it's pretty easy to use. Your fingers are easy to grab. It's not going to slide. It's a soft touch material, so it's not going to get superheated in the sun or very cold. This dial, again, this layout and style will be very familiar to current Volvo drivers. I really like this dial. It's kind of got a beveled edge. It's a little bit of a diamond cut, and it's a little bit nicer than mine, which has just a normal serration. Again, immediate buttons for volume. You know, this is the play, pause. It silences the audio. You don't need to fumble around for the screen. I think that's a very common complaint, is burying immediate options in the screen, when sometimes if you get in the car and the radio is just blasting, hit pause. You don't need to mess around with the screen. You can just turn it off. In emergency, you have your flashers. Here, so you do have a traditional shifter. I know that you know, the new Teslas don't really have any gear selectors, right? You can manually do it on the screen, but otherwise the car predicts whether you want to go in reverse. And so we're sticking with a traditional PRND drive selector. This works really well. You have to have your foot on the brake, and then when you park, you know, you can affirmatively hit the park button. But again, all this center drive is the gloss piano black. It's held up really well for me. Otherwise, you have this faux wood here. A lot of the interior materials is Polestar using environmentally friendly materials, and I don't have a problem with it. I think that all of these materials are soft. They're going to give you some give. Here, they're not too harsh. This is a hard plastic, but up here it's a little bit softer. And again, it's a nice interior that you wouldn't mind spending a lot of time in. This one also has the Harman Kardon sound system. For the cup holders, there's the standard center, and if you want the second cup holder, you have to release this center console and tilt it all the way back in order to access the second cup holder. So let's talk about this rear room. I think that in terms of legroom, I'm about 6 feet. It's really a comfortable seating position in the rear. I have this seat adjusted pretty far back from me. This is a very comfortable driving position for the driver. And still, I've got room between my knees. We're not touching. If you look back here, we have more Volvo parts. This is a cargo net directly cribbed from the Volvo. Talk about it. But if it works, why change it? This is a good part, and especially for a first generation model, you don't need to fix it. The vents here, again, they have the same knurled knobs that are really fantastic. They are great in my car. They've held up well. And it has this little bit extra bezeling on the vent. It's kind of a big vent. You have USB charging, and you have your heated seat buttons down here as well. Car material, everything is nice, high touch. The main problem, if there is an issue with it, is kind of the door. It's a little bit short, and so when I rest my elbow, you know, it's like I'm putting my elbow up here as opposed to where there would be a natural position back here. So again, that's pretty minor. The controls are a little bit cramped. Again, if I want to put my seat down, I got to do a little T-Rex arms just to reach the window control. But otherwise, we have the same solid door pulls that I really love, and it's consistent throughout the car. They give a very good handle. I think I'm stuck now because of the child lock. But yeah, it's very comfortable back here, and you could easily transport 4 adults. Talk about 5. Let's look at the front trunk release. It's this button, this lever here. You're gonna have the standard Volvo parts. This release is a Volvo part, engine cover, the wipers, these hood struts. Everything is pretty much pulled from a Volvo. There's not a whole lot of storage up here. You have a jack. You have a few more safety. You have a compressor. Let's see what else this comes with. This is tire sealant. Not all the cars get this. Tow hook, pretty standard. So a lot of people, this is not a lot of storage, and so what I typically see is you're going to have your charging cables. You're going to keep those types of items up front because there's not a whole lot of room as a daily driver to store materials here. You get a look at the badge, Polestar Performance. This is an everyday car. It's really a great commuting. You know, a really popular trend now is where households and families will have one electric vehicle, usually, you know, Polestar 2 sized, and then they'll maybe have a second car that's larger, like a true SUV that is an internal combustion engine for your long road trips and bringing the dogs. But it gives people kind of that hedge where they get a lot of the benefits of an electric vehicle. It's great for parking, technology, the adaptive cruise control for traffic, but that is a really good solution, and you don't need charging at home. You know, I have another video where we talk about people who charge either at work or people that charge in their neighborhood. That is good enough for a lot of people who don't need a charger at home or even at the office. I'm gonna put the indicator on, and that piped-in noise is a little staticky or muted. I'm not sure if we can get that. Here we'll do a little bit of pilot assist. This is the Volvo name. Still gonna want you to bump the steering wheel. It's not full self-driving. It's not nearly to the level of a Tesla, but for stop and go traffic, I use this every time I get on the highway. I just set it at the speed limit or a little above, but I just leave it. I don't worry about accelerating. It's gonna, you know, give me the firm warning.
but it keeps me in the lane. It does a lot of minor things, but it really decreases the stress level for me to be driving in normal stop and go, or not even stop, but heavy traffic. And again, this car just has power, so when you go fast, instant torque. I've had the cooled seats on this entire trip, and despite being Texas 100-degree day, it's nice and chilly. So the driving characteristic on typically smooth roads, this car handles really well. I don't think you're going to get a better handling car. It's a little bit of a sportier suspension, so comparable to something like a 3 Series. It's not going to be the ultra plush or high-end luxury ride like a 7 Series BMW. But in terms of handling, you have steering feel. This car handles like a sporty sedan. In California, they're so common, you kind of don't want to get a Tesla. You don't want to be like everybody else. You don't want to necessarily associate with so much of like, well, yeah, they're good cars, but they're not perfect. And Elon Musk is not God. I think the low setting is a much more natural braking.
So that's it. This is the Polestar 2. It is a fantastic car. I think that if you're looking for the paper comparison, I'm not going to go into the Tesla Model 3 long range versus this. That's really not what this is about. This is a unique car with distinctive styling and safety features that stands on its own. It is a completely different car that is not necessarily going to win on paper specs. It's got its price, its 0 to 60 time is slower, it's got less range, but those are really just highlighted points. Everything else about the car is well made, interior build quality. You're going to get dealership support from a large parent that has the Volvo network already in place. They don't have manufacturing delays. A lot of cribbing of the Volvo parts, what does that mean? It means availability of spares. So overall, my impressions, this is an amazing car. It is plenty fast. And if you're looking for something that is a head turner and is going to make you smile in the future, Polestar 2 Performance is your car. So thanks for watching this review. I hope you've enjoyed these conclusions. Smash that like button, comment if there's something that you want me to touch on that I didn't and I can make another video. Otherwise, subscribe and we'll see you next time.